Beterbiev versus Bivol 2, the last crescendo card, is officially over. Very entertaining card. There was a lot of good fights. It was marketed as the best card ever, and I think it delivered on that. Dimitri Bivol defeats Artur Beterbiev by decision. I wasn't able to watch the fight. I was busy, but I caught back up to it this morning. I think it was a good performance actually by both guys. Bivol looked really good. He upped the volume like he should have from the first fight. He definitely, picked it up in the championship rounds. I will say that I think Beterbiev banked a lot of the early rounds. I did score for Bivol, but it just kind of felt like, I don't know, like he won, but it didn't really feel like he definitely won, So I see some people saying they thought Beterbiev took it. I'm not mad at that, honestly. It's always probably going to be close between these guys. I don't ever see someone getting finished. I will say, though, like the things I took from that fight is that I wish we would have got to see, a younger Beterbiev versus Bivol. Also, this fight showed that Bivol is one of the best boxers today. The dude is very smart, very tactical, and he knows how to win fights, honestly. Like, he just knows how to win. So credit to Bivol. Great victories. Finally, an undisputed champion. I thought he won the first fight, so for me personally, this is kind of 2-0 Bivol, but it's 1-1. Nobody can change that, so maybe we'll see a third fight. Nevertheless, today we're going to put together a classic tier list of fighters in other divisions, in light heavyweight or maybe even heavyweight, that can compete with Bivol, maybe beat him, maybe they have no chance. We'll see. So the first fighter I want to add to the tier list is Callum Smith. Callum Smith looked good in some parts. He had a gutsy performance. It was more like a tied fight. One part of Buatsi would get the better of him, then Smith would get the better of him. So they just kept, swinging the momentum to each other. In my prediction, I did say that I think, Smith has the ability to put him away with that check hook, of course. But, oh, my God. Before I get to, Smith, I'm going to say credit to Buatsi. Dude has an amazing chin. Smith did good at points. He's showing that he still has it in him. I don't think he's necessarily like the elite of the elite now, but he's still good enough to beat these contenders and these other rising prospects. When it comes to a matchup with him and Bivol, I just don't see anywhere he could beat Bivol, honestly. Like, even if you say, he has a dangerous check hook, Callum Smith is very slow. So I don't think he would ever even have a chance of landing that on Bivol. Bivol's going to be in and out with his movement. He'll see the check hook all day. Besides that, I don't think there's anything that, Callum Smith has for Bivol. So honestly, I'm going to have to put Callum Smith at the low chance tier. So the next boxer up on the tier list is Christian Mbilli. So Mbilli's a 68-pounder right now, but I do think, he's big enough to move up to 175. And I see him there one day. He's going to move up. Weirdly, I could see him actually giving Bivol, some problems. He has a high engine, high octane. He doesn't get tired. He throws power shots for 12 rounds. I will say he's not that powerful, but, accumulation over time could get to anyone. I think if he invested the body on Bivol, he could have some success. And the thing about Bivol is, I love Bivol, amazing boxer, but he's not a big puncher. We know that by now. Anything can happen when, a guy's throwing sharp punches like Bivol. But I really don't see him hurting Mbilli. We've seen Mbilli hurt before. That's why I think somebody like Beterbiev would beat Mbilli. But Bivol, it's going to go to decision. I could see, like 7-12 or maybe 8-12. It starts getting dicey for Bivol. And by the time they would fight, Bivol's probably already going to be like 35, going on 36 maybe. So this might be a hot take, but I just think that the high octane style, the volume, Bivol not having much danger to, deter Mbilli. I could see it going to a close decision. I would still pick Bivol, but honestly, I'm going to put Christian Mbilli at the decent chance tier. I just think by the time they fight, Bivol will be a little older, and I just could see Mbilli giving him problems, honestly. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Anthony Yarde. So I'm not really going to sugarcoat this. He's very talented. He's a very good boxer. He's a boxer-puncher. He has a little punch on him. Yarde is one of those dudes that's never going to be the elite of the elite, but he's very good, and he'll beat a lot of these prospects, a lot of these contenders. So I put him in that boat. I don't ever see him becoming an actual, legitimate champion. I would have to put Anthony Yarde at the low chance tier. I just don't see him doing anything with Bivol, honestly. There's nothing he can really do. So the next boxer up on the tier list is actually a rematch, but it's not who most of y'all are going to expect. Joe Smith Jr. So he has a fight coming up soon. I do think with a win, it would kind of be, unwarranted if he got a title shot, but maybe, Bivol's tired of, the Beterbiev camps. He's been back-to-back already. Maybe he wants a breath of fresh air, fight Joe Smith Jr. again. And if Joe Smith Jr. looks good in his next fight that's coming up, they'll definitely wait on Benavidez. I think Benavidez is probably going to fight one more time before he gets a shot at Beterbiev or Bivol. Joe Smith Jr. would be a good, stay busy fight. He's actually the only guy to put Bivol in serious trouble. He wobbled him at one point. But now I think he's really checked out of the game. He's not active, so he has no shot at beating Bivol, but I have to put him in the list. So I'm going to put Joe Smith Jr. at the no-way tier. He's a cool fighter, but he's not beating Bivol. So now we're going to start getting to the good names. The next boxer being David Morrell. So David, honestly, he's still actually relatively young. I think he's going to improve still. He looked good versus Benavidez. He's very powerful, very good boxer as well. His cardio was actually surprising because I thought he was going to slow down and maybe, have some bad rounds at the end. But he's kind of the guy that had the better rounds towards the end of the fight. So I 100% think that he's going to improve. And I think he actually can give Bivol a lot of problems. Him being a southpaw, he has decent footwork, very good power. He definitely needs to work on his jab. I think he needs to improve his jab 100%. Because he could build off of the jab, with combinations and stabs to the body, different variations of punches and combinations. He definitely needs to add a jab to his toolbox. There's no question about it. I do think in maybe another year or 2 years of experience, he would definitely give Bivol a run for his money. At the current moment right now, I still think that he would give Bivol a good fight, but he probably won't beat him. I'll put David Morrell at decent chance tier. I'm going to put David Morrell at the decent chance tier for right now. I do think in the future, like I said, he'll be very dangerous for Bivol. So the next boxer up on the tier list is another rematch, actually. Gilberto Ramirez. They fought before. Bivol absolutely schooled him. But it would be cool for his legacy if he goes up to cruiserweight and, fights Ramirez again for the belt. He would become a double-weight champion. I don't think Ramirez has any chance of beating him. Bivol schooled him, beat the fuck out of him. So I think he would do the same thing. Ramirez hasn't changed too much. He's the same fighter. I don't see him having any success with Bivol. So I'm going to have to put Ramirez at the no-way tier. So we're down to the last 4 fighters of the tier list. This is where it might get very controversial, but the next boxer up on the tier list is David Benavidez. So I'm kind of torn between this one because obviously Benavidez has good cardio. At light heavyweight though, I don't think he's that imposing, and I don't think his engine is that insane, versus Morrell was the guy coming on late in the round. So I mean, that's kind of worrying because we never see Morrell as some engine guy. Granted, he was knocking out a lot of guys in the first 4 rounds or whatever, but David Benavidez is known for his cardio, so he should mostly always have the edge in all of his matchups. Even versus Vosnik, he slowed down as well. So I think David, carrying the extra weight definitely slows him down at points. One thing I do like about Benavidez, though, is he implements body shots a lot. And I think that could slow Bivol down as well because Bivol doesn't have the greatest cardio either, right? So if David invests in the body early and frequently, I could see, Bivol slowing down. And Benavidez starting to get to him. I don't think Benavidez would ever stop Bivol, but I could see him, having some nasty rounds, towards the end or maybe in the mid rounds. But the thing about it is David's footwork, he's very flat. And I think we've seen guys like Caleb Plant, circle and take angles, and Benavidez has trouble cutting those guys off. But where he's had success versus those guys is when they slow down. If Benavidez can't implement those body shots, Bivol is not going to slow down. He could box on the back foot all night long. So that's why I'm I don't know. It's really a body shot thing for me. Because there's really a world where Bivol can make Benavidez look silly. So currently right now, I would put David Benavidez at the 50-50 chance tier. I would edge Bivol personally, but I think, it's a very close fight. I don't really see Bivol dominating him, so I think that's a correct placement for David Benavidez. So the next boxer up is his former foe, literally just fought on Saturday, a trilogy with Artur Beterbiev. So this is so tricky because it's the age for Beterbiev. He's already 40. If they fight again, he's going to be probably 41, right? His knees are not looking good anymore. He was wearing knee sleeves on Saturday, and I heard rumors also that he had knee surgery, so I just think his knees are giving out. He's a 40-year-old man. He's not an ancient fucking old grandpa, but in boxing, you know, that's very fucking old. That's super old. So his body's breaking down. I think, honestly, Bivol in this trilogy is going to be more dominant and more convincing. Well, hopefully he is, right? Granted, Beterbiev actually looked good in this fight to me. I saw people saying that Beterbiev looked worse in this fight than the first fight. But for me, I think that Beterbiev actually looked better in this fight than the first fight. He did slow down, though, towards the end. So that's showing that, you know, father time is starting to come up on him. You know, we found out that he's actually a fucking human. He's not a robot. So that's cool to know. The thing with Beterbiev is kind of like the Benavidez thing. To beat Bivol, you need to invest in body shots super early. You need to rip to the body as much as you can. Even in this rematch, I don't think Beterbiev went to the body as much as he should have. And I think that's why, you know, Bivol didn't really slow down too much. He's more attacking, you know, Bivol's high guard, which I don't think is very smart. Like, I think there's possibly a tactic that, you know, Beterbiev was trying to punch at Bivol's, you know, guard and bring his hands down, but Bivol is super tough. Like, even if his hand's broken, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to drop his hands and, you know, start to wear and deteriorate. Like, he's going to keep his hands up. Even if his hand's broke, he's going to throw it still. I don't think he really cares. And to beat Bivol, I think Beterbiev has to stop him, honestly. I really do think that he has to stop him. The judges, especially where they fight, they're always going to favor Bivol's style over Beterbiev's, right? So realistically, I think the trilogy will be another great, entertaining fight, but he's not going to beat him. I would have to put Beterbiev at the decent chance tier at this point with his age and his injuries. I think everything's catching up. But regardless, Artur Beterbiev's a legend. And I do wish that we got to see him against, like, the Andre Wards of the world, the Kovalevs, guys like that, because I think he could fuck them up, honestly. In his prime, like, in his early 30s, I think he would give all those dudes problems. So we are now down to the last 3 boxers on the tier list. The next boxer up is actually Opetaia. So he's a cruiserweight champion. He's very dangerous, one of the biggest punchers in the sport. He also is a very good boxer, light on his feet, you know, very elusive, athletic. The thing about him is, like, I saw the Breedis fight, the rematch, and I didn't really like that performance. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, every time there's a dude that we think, you know, is next level, then he has a shaky performance, and then we're like, oh my God. I will say, you know, David Nyaka, I don't even know how to say it, Nyanka, whatever. That dude is not world level, but he is a good boxer, and he has good power as well. The way Opetaia, you know, finished him, I think was very impressive. Because I don't really see a lot of guys doing Nyaka like that, or Nyanka, whatever. But I'm just going to call him David. I don't see a lot of guys doing David like that. But Opetaia could go to the body, goes to the head, and he's southpaw as well. So it's an open stance fight with Bivol. Bivol will obviously be moving up. I don't think Bivol was the biggest light heavyweight, so him at cruiserweight, he's going to be very undersized. This is a hard one because, you know, Opetaia has fight-changing power. I don't think he would invest in the body too much, but he definitely will throw body shots, of course. This fight is actually harder to predict than I thought. Damn, I don't really know because the jab, Bivol's jab, his volume. I do think Opetaia can slow down as well. His cardio is not the best. And if Bivol puts him on the back foot at points, I could see him slowing down. I really could. You know, for the fact that it's at cruiserweight and the power difference, I'm going to put Opetaia at the 50-50 chance tier. But honestly, I would favor Bivol to win the fight. I think I would, honestly. But it's still a 50-50 fight, nevertheless. I'm just kind of torn between that fight now because I really want to see it. And, you know, thinking about it, that's a very intriguing fight. I'd probably rather see that more than the Beterbiev rematch, but we'll see what Turkey does. So the next boxer up on the tier list is another rematch, another foe, another salty foe, Canelo Alvarez. This rematch has been brewing for a long time. You know Canelo is very salty about that loss. He's made every excuse in the book about it. I've been a Canelo fan for a long time, but I gotta call it how I see it. He's very salty. I think the best chance at Canelo beating Bivol was actually the version that fought him. I think this version of Canelo has no chance. Like, it might be crazy to say he has no chance, but so back in the day, Canelo kind of fought similar to Tank. And when I say that, I mean, you know, in the early rounds, he will let the fighters work. He will let them, you know, and then in the 7th to 12th round, he would start putting it on guys. He would finish guys late. I know y'all remember those days, right? When he was finish guys late. He was that kind of guy. But now, his cardio is not the best anymore. He fades in fights. Literally just walks forward and throws a big left hook, big right hook, big uppercut, big left hook, big right hook. Like, that's all he's throwing now. He's throwing 1x1s. He's not throwing a lot of combinations anymore. That is the worst way to try to beat Bivol. That is the worst way to try to beat him. He's not going to punch in his biceps and bring his guard down and hurt his bicep. That's not going to happen. I think Bivol would absolutely school Canelo in a rematch. I think it would be even more decisive than the first one, honestly. So I would have to put Canelo Alvarez at the decent chance tier just because it's Canelo. You never know. Maybe he can land a check hook and pull out a miracle. But even then, Bivol has a very good chin, so Canelo's not beating him. There's no way. So the last boxer up on the tier list. This is just a freaking fantasy fight, honestly. I just wanted to add him to the list because it would be cool to see, right? But I don't think it would ever happen, of course. Alexander Usyk. So I don't even think Bivol, walks around heavier than 205 pounds. Maybe even less than that. He's honestly, like, not a big guy, so this would be a weird matchup. But just, like, stylistically, like, let's say if Bivol could get to that weight and could bulk up, Usyk at this stage, right? Honestly, I think it would be a very, very competitive fight, honestly. Like, the same thing, in and out movement, the jab, the volume. It's going to be volume for volume. And I do think, because Usyk slows down as well. Like, we have to admit, Usyk does slow down. But he's able to keep going, and he has a very good engine. Usyk's not a massive puncher, but he definitely is a bigger puncher than Bivol. I think really anyone is. I think Bivol actually has a better jab, honestly. Or at least more snappy jab. There's moments where Usyk gets out of position. I could see Bivol, gaining the front foot and, putting Usyk in bad positions, which is volume and, pressure. I think he would invest to the body, a lot of jabs to the body. Also, I do believe that he would be the only guys that could kind of crack Bivol's high guard. So he would pull the hands down, land the left hook, land uppercuts. I think this fight is actually very close. Like, if Bivol were to bulk up, right? I would pick Usyk to win the fight. So I'm going to put Alexander Usyk at the beats Bivol tier. But I think the fight would be very, very close. And if you told me that Bivol beat Usyk, I would not say you're crazy. So that concludes the tier list. Let me know in the comments if you have any, disagreements with where I put these guys or any other guys that y'all think could beat Bivol. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if you can. And I'll be back for another video. Goodbye.
I'm Phil. I'm very Phil.
What's that?
Heavyweight champions.
What's that?